Hey everybody, Rhadamant here. Thanks for tuning in to the very first episode of a new series on Darkest Dungeon. So if you're unfamiliar with what Darkest Dungeon is, it is a role-playing roguelike game where you explore dungeons and fight creatures that are within them, managing your health and stress, managing inventory and loot, and survival while your heroes level up, become stronger, or more demented and mentally ill, as this game has a dark tinge about it. I am no master at Darkest Dungeon, but I will play on the average difficulty. So I have all the DLCs enabled here. I'm not going to play on Stygian. I am not masochistic, but I will play on its original difficulty. Now I'm going to be skipping over a lot of the intro videos because I'm going to assume that if you'd like to watch them, you can watch them on your own. They're beautifully done, they're well narrated, and they give you insight into what happened. Basically, you are trying to reclaim an ancestral home from corruption. I think that's the one sentence long and short of it. This should not be taken as a tutorial, as I am, once again, no master of Darkest Dungeon, but I will be explaining what I'm doing as I play. So we start off with Reinald and Dismas. Now, I might end up renaming some of my heroes after patrons, but at least the first two I won't. Actually, probably the first four, in fact. And WASD, or W-A-N-D, there's really no S, allows you to navigate. And as you travel between rooms, as you can see, there's... Okay, narration. You move A and D forward and backwards. Moving backwards actually stresses out your characters, so you should move forwards. It seems real time, but it's actually turn-based. So my torch, for instance, won't burn out as I stand here. And there's 4 tiles between me and the next room. The rooms allow you to pick the next direction, as if this is a maze, and these individual tiles can be events. These events might have nothing, or it might have a battle. So combat is turn-based based upon your character's speed. So I have a speed of 7, he has a speed of 3, and my other character, I think, has a speed of 1. So I'm going to open with a open vein, which does damage and bleed, and then because this enemy was surprised due to the radiant light level of my party, I'm able to get 2 attacks in, but normally the brigand would have fought and then I would have had a turn. And there we go. We got a little bit of loot. You have a very limited amount of inventory space in this intro. I'm going to make this a little bit softer. In this intro here, I'm definitely not going to fill up inventory space, but in the real game, you can. And then also, there is something called Curios, which are lootable objects. Not all of them are worth interacting with. So this curio, for instance, is a traveler's tent, and we can loot it for some valuables. Some curios need to be cleansed in order to be safe to loot. As we travel, the light level dims, and the only way to increase the light level is to use torches, but I don't start off with any. So these 2 enemies, do roughly about the same amount of damage, but one has 3 times more health than the other. So I'm going to try to dispatch the weaker character, the weaker enemy first. As you can see, he did 3 damage to me total. Oh, but I dodged the bloodletter shot. Now, the ranged character here is so far back that I'm actually not able to hit him. My smite ability hits the first 2 tiles, my zealous accusation hits the first 2 tiles, my stunning blow hits the first 2 tiles, my bulwark of faith doesn't actually, it's not an attack ability. So if I wanted to attack this brigand, I really have to get rid of the bloodletter that's in front. Now, with that said, this enemy is 50% stun resist, so I'm just going to smite him, rather than to risk not stunning him. the stun does less damage. Each character has 4 abilities that they can have active at any time. There's more than that available, but you have to unlock them. Now this is explaining that when enemies die, they leave corpses. So sometimes corpses can get in your way of attacking the remaining enemies, and you have to dispose of the corpses. There are some abilities that will dispose of all the corpses all at once, which is kind of nice. So that hit right there makes me bleed for 2 damage every round for 3 rounds, so 6 damage total. Let's make him bleed back. Now, one of the things that can happen is when you get critical damage, not only do you do more damage to the enemy, but it also lowers your stress. So this game is very much about managing health and stress. Healing is a lot easier to do than stress level. And when your character gets stressed out, they can have mental breaks. Now, my quest is complete because I was just bound to travel to this area. And there's this chest here, but it's trapped. What I'm going to do is open it with my Dismas. He didn't manage to disarm the trap. In the future, you might be able to unlock these chests with keys, and therefore not get poisoned in the process, or use anti-venom and not get poisoned in the process. At the end of each embarkment, when you embark on an adventure, it will tally up your rewards. And then when you level up, you can also gain personality traits. So much like in a lot of role-playing games, personality traits can be positive or negative. So, Reynold here does more damage if the torch level is above 75, which is good. He's God-fearing, so in town, for stress relief, he'll only pray, which is not a problem unless there are no slots to pray. And then he's also prone to steal items, which is kind of annoying and something I'll probably want to fix. Then Dismas here is a known cheat, so he's not allowed to gamble. He's got a hard noggin, making him harder to stun, and he has quick reflexes, which gives him extra speed. So he'll be able to act first in most fights. Now, because this is the first time I've gotten to the estate, I can inspect some new buildings that I got. So the graveyard is just where your dead heroes are. The stagecoach is where you can recruit new heroes. I shouldn't say new dead heroes. And you can look at their stats before you recruit them. You can change their names, change the way they look. You can also do that with Reynold Dismas too. But every game that you start, you'll have these two. So let's go ahead and recruit both these guys. It's also saying that I'm able to upgrade my stagecoach network. Now, as you can see, there is more than just one type of currency. There is gold, which is used for abilities and equipment. Then there are busts, portraits, deeds, crests, and eventually shards, which are to upgrade the buildings that you have in your estate. So this tree here is where the memories are stored. Memories are sort of like what you've done. So if you ever wanted to replay videos, it's sort of your quest log, I guess. And then the Nomad Wagon, where you can buy trinkets. Of course, they are way more expensive than I'm able to afford. I love the narration in the game, so it kind of makes me sad that I'm having to talk over them. Alright, so let's go and embark on my first real mission that isn't the tutorial. So, the details of this is it's a short mission in the ruins. Here's the rewards. There is a Blight Charm as a reward, which gives me Blight Resist and lowers my dodge. Now, these are the people that are going to be sent out on this mission, so I'm going to want to add my 2 new people. If you right-click on them, you will see basically what position they prefer. So she says she prefers a forward position, but both of her healing abilities are used in the back. And then he is prefers the third position, and that's where I have him. He has Incision, Plague Grenade, a buff, and a stun grenade. Looking at their stats, he gets extra stress in Cove, but I'm heading into the ruins. And he scouts in Cove and has higher crit. Crit's good. She has natural swing, but lower crit. She misses the spot. That's a negative quirk that I'm probably going to want to get rid of. Okay. Looks good. Now, before you head off on your quest here, you need to stockpile at least on some food and some torches, unless you want to fight in the dark. Now, there is an advantage to fighting in the dark, where you can get better loot for fighting in the dark, but it's more dangerous as well. And then I'm also going to bring 2 shovels, a key, bandages, medicinal herbs, anti-venom, and holy water, and embark. And I have to pay for all of those provisions myself. So as you start off, I need to explore 90% of the rooms, so I don't need to explore every single room, just all but one. And we can choose which path we go. So here is your light level, and the lighter it is, the more advantages you have, but the less loot you get, and the lower your crit is. And the darker it gets, the more advantages the enemies have, but the more crits and loot you can get. I am a wuss and like to keep my light level pretty much as high as possible. Unless, of course, I'm nearing the end of an adventure, and I know that I can afford the extra damage. Now, I have a choice here. I can open vein, but the thing is, these are skeletons, so they're very, very bleed resist. So pistol shot or grape shot. Now, pistol shot, I might do grape. I might hit both of them at 50% damage, then one of them at 85. So now it's the Plague Doctor's turn. He has a speed of 7. This does base damage, but obviously I'm not going to get a bleed going. I'll just hit the weaker one. And then my healer can only heal from the back because I haven't unlocked some of her more useful abilities. And then I'll just smite the last one, no problem. Now here's an unlocked Strongbox. Now the thing with this is, you would think, oh, I'll just open it up. As you can see right here, there's an optional slot, right? And that optional slot can help modify what you get out of the loot. So it's not always just safe to open up everything. Now, this Strongbox, I just looked it up, gives me a 75% chance for loot and a 25% chance for me to get blighted. Loot it is. But there's a lot of items in this game that you can make safer to interact with by using consumables. So I hit my first pile of rubble. I can clear it by hand, which will do damage and stress me out, or I can use one of my shovels. It's very, very, very important to have enough shovels to traverse a dungeon, because if you end up trying to clear everything by hand, it's going to suck for you. Now, unfortunately, I let my light level dip a little bit, and as a result, I got surprised at the start of this fight and got all sort of out of order. Now, I know from experience the Cultist Acolyte is the most annoying enemy, so I'm going to try to get her out of the picture, and of course, she dodges my attack. Let's see if we can't stun her. Now, why she's the most annoying, she has an ability which will, well, it will basically make me more stressed, I think, is the easiest way. Because of my healers in front, instead of backing up, I'm just going to start damaging with her. So I'm going to have her use some damaging abilities from the front. Now I could move her back, but she basically would skip her entire turn moving backwards, which is not all that useful. Alright, now here's the stressful incantation, and it hit me for 17 stress. A big part of this game is to manage your stress levels, so you really don't want to get stressed if you can help it. So I'm going to throw a plague grenade on this skeleton. That's about the only useful thing I could do. I'm going to grape shot blast everyone, and they all dodged. Dismas has really been missing kind of everything here. Alright, so the cultist is dead, which means she won't be able to stress me out anymore. Now, because I have a healer, the stress I can't heal, but the damage I can. Okay, finally he hits with a grape shot blast, and here you can see the effect of corpses and their own health pools. I wouldn't be able to reach that last skeleton with my Crusader. Alright, let's reset the default party order and continue, but maybe light a torch first. And there's nothing in this room. Now I can either go north or east. I'm going to go north. I have no idea because we didn't get lucky and get it to scout it. I don't know what's in store, this path versus the other one. This is the pack here, and contains a key and some onyx. Alright, yet another fight with another cultist acolyte. And they're surprised this time because of my light level, which is good. Let's go in plague grenade. No, maybe incision the brawler. Man, Dismas, you are missing a lot, my friend. Anytime you crit a heal, it will help to de-stress your allies. Alright, so I'm going to get stressed from that. Oh, I dodged.
Slowly, gently. This is how a life is taken.
Oh, Eldritch Pull, which is an ability that if I don't resist it, can pull me to the front. That's fine because Dismas can shoot from the back, and I can miss, I guess, incisions from the front. Now, there's a lot of abilities that can change your positioning. And you also, each character has their own movement resist. Alright, let's try to get rid of the acolyte, and there she goes. And we've won. Reset the party order. And then, usually what I do is I'll open a chest. Let's use a key in this one. And the key unlocks a hidden compartment, which gives us more loot. Now, there's a full list of what items will help to cleanse what Curios. Okay, so there was a trap here. I didn't see it in time. Or rather, I didn't get to see it because we didn't scout it.
The path is clear. We require only the strength to...
Now, periodically, as you travel through a dungeon, what will end up happening is you will... Oh! Alright, here's a great example of a trap. So now I know that there's a trap here, right? I can see the trap. What I'm going to do is to use my Vestal, my healer, because she's the most stressed, to disarm the trap. Because the benefit of disarming a trap is it lowers your stress. So she went from 20 to 12 stress levels. Now, as I did say early in the game, walking backwards panics your people, but double backing does not. And in fact, double backing reduces the amount of torches you need, which is kind of nice. Now, I've been using party heal because everyone's a little wounded. So for the Crusader, Reynold, that I have here, this is the bread and butter fight for him. Because he is best against Unholy, and these guys are Unholy. So he'll do bonus damage against them for a lot of his abilities. The debuffs do stack, so as you can see, I use Plague Grenade again on this Arbalist, and he'll take 8 damage next turn, which will kill him.
Great is the weapon that cuts on its own.
Ooh, that's a nice heal. And the last enemy is down. Now, food, which is provisions, will be consumed periodically as you travel, and if you don't have any food left, it will stress out your people. So you should always have... There's a provision guide to tell you kind of how much food you're going to need, depending on the length of an excursion, but you should definitely make sure you have enough. So here is a holy fountain, and I can quickly look this up. So holy fountain, I can cleanse it with holy water. Basically what we'll do is, yeah, let's cleanse it with holy water, because I have some holy water. And I get a divine benefit of a lot of healing. Not bad. Now I can either travel this way to grab this curio, which I think I'll do, because I have plenty of torches. This curio is pretty lame. No, actually, this curio has some busts in it, which is kind of nice. And then what I'll do is I will double back and travel to the end. And as you can see, my light level doesn't drop as much when we're traveling through territory I've already explored. It does drop a little bit, so you can't just wander around endlessly, not worrying about light levels, but as you can see, the torches stay lit longer. Each torch is 25% light level, by the way. So because he has a negative quirk, he's going to end up stealing all this for himself. This is the Kleptomaniac quirk in action. And there is a way for me to stop that later on in the game with a sanitarium. So here is an example of eating. So if I eat nothing, I take 20% damage plus stress. If I eat, I regain some health. I'm gonna eat, obviously. The remaining food I have, I can also consume for healing. So I really only probably will eat one more time, given that I'm nearing the end of this excursion. So the remaining 5 food, I can make sure I can just use as healing. Now I'm going to explore. Even though my quest is complete, I've done 90% of the rooms. I'm going to continue to explore the last room here. And for the last room, what I'm going to do is hold Shift, Control, and click on the torch, making it pitch black, so that we have a possibility of more loot in this fight, given that I know it's my last fight. So what ends up happening is I get more stressed, they do more damage, they are more accurate, they crit more. I can have a possibility of being surprised, but there is the possibility of more loot in it for me, which is why I snuffed out my torch right at the end. Let's try to get rid of their Bone Courier, because he's the one that is, ooh, a crit. That'll help with the stress. He's the one that's doing the most damage, stress-wise. Ooh, a big old crit. And when they crit me, I get stressed as a result. Oh man, they dodged everything. Let's see. Another Plague Grenade, maybe? He's going to be down to 1 HP. But he still gets to... Ouch, crit me. That was a low heal. Now, if you're wondering, once you go down to 0 health, you're not instantly dead. It's a situation called Death Blow. And each hit when you're at 0 health has a certain % chance to kill you, depending on your Death Blow resistances. So, for instance, Reynold, Dismas have a Death Blow resist of 67%, as does the Plague Doctor, but the Priest has a little bit lower because she has a weak grip on life. And we've won. So, because I snuffed out my torch, I can light these torches back on. We got more loot out of that, and then here's another chest. We'll use a key. And we got a lot more loot out of that as well. So, continuing this dungeon past our completion point yielded a lot more for us. As you can see, we got a lot of heirlooms and collected a fair amount of treasure. And that at the end of every battle, you'll also gain Resolve XP, which levels up your character and makes them more stress resistant and allows them to be stronger. And then also the possibility of some quirks. So Dismas got Unholy Slayer, which makes him better against skeletons and Unholy. Towel here got Stress Eater. So when he's stressed out, he'll consume more food, which is bad. Now,
can you feel it? The walls between the sane world and that unplumbed.
So now I've unlocked the Abbey, which is a stress relief building. So the caretaker that caretakes my my estate here will randomly use up one of the slots, but you can upgrade it so that you can have more slots. You can obviously have up to 3 on each. And what this allows you to do is to pay some gold to de-stress your heroes. Then, of course, there's the Tavern. So, for instance, Dismas is a known cheat, so he's not going to be able to gamble. But I can pay for him to be de-stressed as well. So, a lot of this, if you're wondering, a lot of this is about managing stress levels. Because once they return home, unless they get diseased, they're fully healed. So, the only thing that carries over between fights is diseases and stress. So, as you can see, Dogner here got a little stressed. And as a result, you know, if I redeploy her right now, she might have a mental break. There are also some additional heroes that I can recruit. There's this Occultist, which also has a heal. The heal bleeds me, though. But he might be a temporary good replacement for Dogner if I want to de-stress Dogner. And then there's the Shieldbreaker, who is very good at moving around. So they have attacks that move them forward and backward. I really like Shieldbreakers, so I'm going to recruit both. But alas, I am just about out of time. So if you have an interest in Darkest Dungeons, you're going to have to let me know, because this is a brand new series and I don't know what kind of interest there will be for it, but I am happy to play it if there is interest indeed. If you would like to discuss Darkest Dungeons, there will be a new channel in the Discord to do so. Hopping on there, you just got to go to Rhadamant.com and like and subscribe if you've liked this episode, and hopefully there will be more episodes to come. I will throw the schedule up on Rhadamant.com for when you might be able to find these. Thanks to everyone for watching. I'll catch you all later. Adios.